Hallo. Belle.
Ciao, Giovanna.
Okay, let's start. Hi, I'm Giovanna. I'm 28 years old and I'm currently based in Baghdad, Iraq. I'm the regional coordinator for Center and South Iraq of a national NGO. Right now, we are mainly focusing on answering to the coronavirus pandemic by setting up field hospitals in camps for refugees and IDP camps, providing non-food items and food items to the refugee population in camps.
Was it your job like this before already, or did the pandemic change the way you perform your job now?
So since I arrived here, it's been like 7 months now, and the job has always consisted of emergency response and early recovery response. This is the biggest department that we have in the organization. So most of the effort were already put into the situation with the refugees and IDPs in camps. In Iraq and in Syria and many other countries in the Middle East, the ISIS or families with perceived affiliation, meaning with affiliation to ISIS, have been contained in camps and they cannot get out of camps in most of in many governorates, in many regions in Iraq. So our efforts were already mainly focused on this kind of population. Of course, the coronavirus has meant that most of these efforts were kind of interrupted because of lack of access. We cannot access the camps, so the whole response was made much harder. There is no coordination at the moment between the UN and international organizations, which makes it even harder to sort of come up with a solution. And in the meantime, the people in the population in the camps is left without food and without any form of assistance. So the main challenge that we had to focus as a national NGO at the moment, because of this coronavirus, was that of having to approach directly the local authorities in order to get access letters, so authorization letters to get to pass the borders, the governorate borders, and get into the camps. And having to deal with the government is particularly difficult in the Iraqi context.
Speaking about the government, what are the measures that it implemented to contain the pandemic?
The Iraqi government, as many other governments all over the world, has implemented lockdown, a curfew, starting from the 2nd of March, if I remember correctly. Not the only, but one of the main issues in this response has been that all the forms of communication have been immediately interrupted. We have checkpoints all over my house. The only, let's say, if I want to go shopping, I'm allowed to go shopping just to the very next shop that I have that is 50 meters away from here. And if I want to go to the next shop, I have to cross at least 2 checkpoints, and it's not a guarantee. There is no guarantee that I'm going to be allowed to go. They will ask for papers, they will ask for documents. So there are ways to fake those documents, of course, especially local people who are connected to somebody in the government can fake this kind of documents. Since people are not respecting the rules are quite harsh right now, okay?
What's the current situation with the number of infected people, and what's the situation in hospitals?
So in Iraq, we do not get official statistics about the number of infected people. Reuters tried to come up with published a statistics a few days ago that were claiming that the number of actual infected people is much higher than what is reported from the Ministry of Health in Iraq. And as a consequence, Reuters was denied the access in Iraq for 2 years from now on. So the official statistics, those that are reported by the Ministry of Health, tell us something like 9,000 something infected people and about 147, this was a couple of days ago when I last checked, 147 deaths. Unofficial claims are like reporting much higher figures. And on top of that, you must consider that the war in Iraq stopped 2 years ago. So most of the infrastructures, especially in governorates like Nineveh or Salahuddin, Anbar, are completely destroyed. So the whole part in north and center of Iraq is completely destroyed and lacks of infrastructures whatsoever. People don't trust hospitals, they don't trust doctors, they don't trust the government in any form. They think that this lockdown is not necessarily, let's say that the common feeling is that they've endured much worse, and that this coronavirus is not the biggest issue that they've challenged, the biggest challenge. Therefore, keeping them in the houses is much harder than it might be in other countries, let's say. So they keep going around. On top of that, there are no infrastructures to like hospitals or facilities to provide for medical care. And yeah, there are 500 ventilators in all of Iraq, just to give you an example.
Do you recall some event, or can you tell us about something that happened to you in the context of this pandemic?
The moment they declared the lockdown, people started shooting fireworks, and we were not sure whether it was fireworks or another war that was starting. I don't know.
Can you define this whole situation in a word?
Miscommunication. Okay, so it's much harder for us. It's normally I'm working with a team of almost 50 people, 50. So right now I have to work online. People are not reporting, and there is miscommunication that goes on and on and on and affects all stages of program implementation. And right now this is the main issue that I'm facing because of this coronavirus.
I think the communication in general, in your case work-wise, but in general for everyone in this situation of the pandemic, it changed, and we need to adapt and to change our perception of it and how we use it. So I think we need to be positive in every field about this, because it's the most powerful tool we have right now. So thank you, Joanne, for for this call.